5 bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Chief Cody, Tim Collins, and his firefighting pals on the roof of the Stoller Spaghetti Factory, where they're fighting a stubborn, slow-burning blaze among some packing materials stored just below the roof. But for once in his lifetime, it's not the fire that plagues Chief Cody so much as the complications resulting from the fire. Now, you'll recall that a huge storage bin of water-soaked spaghetti broke loose, and tons of the slippery stuff flowed out of the building, covering the streets for blocks around. Well, this brought Sergeant Detective O'Leary into the picture when the spaghetti, flooding down the hill to River Street, caused a traffic hazard that piled up cars for 3 solid blocks. Well, now, as Chief Cody directs fire operations on the roof, another spaghetti crisis has arisen, which we'll learn more about right after this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the roof of the Stoller Spaghetti Factory where Chief Cody, Tim, and the rest of his smoke-eater buddies are cutting a hole through to the floor below to get at the smoldering, deep-seated blaze in the midst of some packing material. Well, as the chief directs the activity, with his friend Detective O'Leary watching, Tim suddenly calls out,
Oh, Chief! Yes, Tim?
Say, sir, there's a man standing down on the street below, and I think he wants to see you.
Me?
Yes, sir. He says he wants to see the man in charge of firefighting.
That's you, Chief.
He seems awful excited about something, sir. Keeps waving his arms and shouting like he was mad.
Well, who is he, I wonder?
Well, Uppingham Stoller, I think he said, sir. Says he owns the spaghetti factory.
Uh-oh, more trouble, Cody. If he owns this factory, I'll bet he's plenty mad, the way you've mistreated his spaghetti.
I haven't mistreated anybody's spaghetti. All I'm trying to do is fight a fire, and everybody
You better go down and see what he wants.
Oh, blistering blazes. I can't leave this fire. Tell him to come up here if he wants to see me.
Yes, sir.
Well, Chief, I think maybe I'd better get back on the job.
Now, O'Leary, don't run off. Stick around and see what this Uppingham Stoller wants.
No, thank you. Uppingham Stoller is your problem, Cody. Be seeing you around.
Howard!
Well, Detective O'Leary, being a pretty cagey fellow, can sense that the meeting between owner Uppingham Stoller and the chief might get a little warm, especially since the topic of discussion is almost sure to be spaghetti. And that, as it turns out, is exactly what Mr. Stoller has on his mind. A short, round, red-faced little man with a black derby hat. He climbs to the roof, puffing and wheezing with the exertion, and comes up to the chief.
You, Chief Cody?
That's right.
Stoller's my name, Uppingham Stoller. There's a few things I want to ask you, sir.
I'm pretty busy fighting this fire, Mr. Stoller.
Haven't you got it out yet?
Well, it's a stubborn blaze, way down deep.
Hang the fire for the moment. What I want to know is, what have you done with all my spaghetti?
Not a thing.
What do you mean? It's all over the street.
I can assure you, Mr. Stoller, that neither I nor my men put it there. It just flowed there by itself.
But it's ruined. Tons and tons of perfectly good spaghetti. The best in the world running down the gutters. It's terrible.
I don't like it any better than you, Mr. Stoller. I was buried in the stuff. My shoes were full of it. Frankly, I'm so sick of spaghetti. At this point, I could...
You don't like my spaghetti?
I didn't say I didn't like...
What's the matter with my spaghetti? It's the finest in the world. Only the best ingredients go into Stoller spaghetti. I select them myself. The finest flour, scientifically blended to ensure taste, tenderness, and digestibility.
Now, look, Mr. Stoller, I'm sure your spaghetti is wonderful. Now, in small quantities, I could like it very much. It's just there's too much of the blooming stuff around at the moment.
Well, it's your fault. If you hadn't run your water in on my spaghetti, it never would have happened.
Now, look, There was a fire in your building. Still is, for that matter. Now, do you want
I want you to do something about saving my spaghetti.
What do you mean, save it? It's halfway across town by now.
But there must be something we can do. Oh, that lovely, tender, full-flavored spaghetti. Can't your men help? Perhaps with tubs and barrels.
What?
Yes, that's it. We'll all get tubs and baskets and shovels and scoop it up. We can save a lot that way.
Mr. Stoller, I don't think that's very practical.
But if you knew how much work it is to make all that spaghetti, if you realize the care, the love that's gone into it.
Mr. Stoller, I've got a fire to put out. Your fire, in fact. The fire department cannot be used to round up a bunch of runaway spaghetti. Now, if you'll kindly move out of the way.
My poor spaghetti. After all the years I spent saving it up, gone. All gone.
I know. What do you mean, after all the years you've spent saving it?
Just that. It's taken me years to save up all this spaghetti.
You mean making it, don't you, so you can sell it?
Sell? Who said anything about selling it?
Look, Mr. Stoller, you own a spaghetti factory, don't you?
Certainly.
Right. And you make spaghetti. Lots and lots of spaghetti, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. And after you've made it, then you sell it, don't you?
No.
You don't sell it?
No. I save it.
What?
Some people save string, paper bags, old coins. I save spaghetti. I like spaghetti.
A spaghetti collector? Well, no wonder there was so much of the blamed stuff.
Please, isn't there some way I can get back my spaghetti?
Now, look, I'm a fireman, not a spaghetti expert. You'll have to leave the roof, Mr. Stoller, and let me fight this fire. Tim! Oh, Tim!
Yes, Chief.
Mr. Stoller here. He wants, show him down to the street, will you?
Oh, sure, sir.
But what
Just
about
take him down the quickest way.
Yes, sir.
I've got to get back on the job. Carnegie, put a line down that hole and let's get that fire out.
What about my spaghetti?
Well, spaghetti, the chief is rapidly beginning to realize, can cause more trouble than half a dozen fires. And no sooner does he get rid of Mr. Uppingham Stoller than still another spaghetti crisis crops up. And again, it's Detective O'Leary who brings the sad tidings. As he mounts the roof and approaches Chief Cody, the detective blurts out,
Chief.
Hello, O'Leary. You back again?
Yes, and brother, you'll never guess what's happened now.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. More spaghetti trouble?
You said it. This thing's snowballing all over town.
All right. Let me have it. Can't be any worse than Mr. Uppingham Stoller.
Well, you know that big wave of the stuff that ran down the street toward the river?
Seems I recall something about that, yes.
Well, it finally flowed right into the river.
Don't tell me the fish are complaining.
No, but the fishermen are.
Well, how can spaghetti possibly...
A whole bunch of fishermen in small boats tied up at the pier and called the police.
What for?
It seems the spaghetti in the river water is plugging up the water intakes of their motors, and they're spending all their time cleaning out their filters.
Now, isn't that too bad? Oh, Larry, I've heard enough about your spaghetti troubles. You talk as if this thing were all my fault.
But the fishermen are awful mad, Cody.
Well, so am I. And if I get one more interruption,
Chief!
Well, what is it?
Sir, we've been pouring in water through that hole in the roof we cut, and I just happened to think.
Yeah?
What about those other bins of spaghetti down on the floor below? Don't you think they might...
Hey, what was that?
Oh, no. No, it can't.
I'm afraid maybe it is, sir.
What is it, Tim?
Well, I'm not sure, but it sounds like another spaghetti bin is busted loose.
It can't be. I can't stand it.
Well, if it is, sir, we'll know in a minute. Come on over to the edge of the roof and watch below. Yeah. Here we are now. Keep your eye on the main door there. Yep. There she comes.
Jumping Jehoshaphat, look at the spaghetti. A whole wave of it.
Well, boys, here we go again.
more spaghetti to plague the chief. The police department, Uppingham Stoller, the fishermen, and a good part of the town are already in an uproar over the wild series of events. But apparently they haven't seen anything yet.
Now, to learn the next rib-tickling development in the case of the Runaway Spaghetti, be sure to join Chief Cody and Tim for the next episode of the Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, here's Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. Now, if I can get my mind off spaghetti for a minute, I want to tell you something more about fire drills in your own home. You remember the time before I suggested you plot out on a map the exits you could use, both upstairs and down, in case of fire in your house. Now, to be sure everybody actually knows what to do, I'd hold an actual fire drill. Talk it over with your folks. And then some evening, perhaps, on a given signal, everybody leave the house according to the plan you've worked out. And to make it just as real as possible, pretend that the fire is in a particular location. Say in the kitchen for one drill, in an upstairs bedroom for the next one, in the basement for another. Now, in that way, you will have practice in making your escape from the house under all circumstances, no matter where the fire might break out. Do this, won't you? It may pay off big dividends in human lives someday. Well, that's all for now. Till I drop in next time, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters! Firefighters is a copyrighted feature of William F. Holland Productions.